Hey everyone, how's it going? This is Hilson here. Today I have a very special video presenting to you all, and it will be featuring my Pokemon Galarian team in Sword and Shield. Now, many of you may not know this, but I've actually rarely ever played Pokemon games. I've been more of a main fan of the anime ever since I was a kid, so I've been watching that a lot. Even now I am. And for Pokemon games, I've actually had very little experience in battling competitively, and that's something I wanted to challenge myself last year when this game released. I chose to put myself in the singles format competition, and that's because I always felt Pokemon is represented in a one-on-one battle format, and that's why I chose single format competitive battling. Now, as a beginner, I felt it was very overwhelming because there's just so much to learn about each Pokemon's moves, types, abilities, and you gotta combine that with knowing how to breed Pokemon and even understanding items. Personally, I don't really like items because in the anime, they never actually had items to battle, and I just think items just add another dimension, but that's not necessarily needed. Just Pokemon battling with its own unique abilities and moves is enough. But anyways, for those of you that are actually getting to start to do competitive battling, I hope I can give you an idea of how I built my team, and maybe you can take some inspiration from that. My number one tip is always battling with the Pokemon that you love, either winning or losing, because that's the most important. Also important to have fun and really enjoy the process rather than putting your success into wins and losses. And so, to introduce my team, I really hope you can all enjoy this video, and let's get started. To start off, I'm going to feature Galarian Corsola in the spotlight. Galarian Corsola actually has very high defensive and special defense stat, but I've chosen to make her as an ultimate counter to physical attackers, because right now in the competitive scene, a lot of Pokemon are very strong physically, so having her on your team will be the ultimate counter. And I decided to max out its health and its defense, and the reason for that is because most of her moves are really targeted against physical attackers. And as you see here, her ability is Burst Body, which means that if your opponent attacks you, their moves has a possibility of becoming disabled, which if they even have a choice item, that really counters them because they have no other choice, no other moves to use, so they have to switch to another Pokemon. So that's why this Pokemon is already very effective on its own. And I've given the moves Stealth Rock, Will-O-Wisp, Strength Sap, and Nightshade to it. Why Stealth Rock? Well, that's because it's a great setup move with rocks. So whenever your opponent switches to a different Pokemon, they have to second think because they'll be taking damage every single time that they switch. And a lot of times switching will depend on the matchups, and so this really discourages my opponent from switching out a lot. Will-O-Wisp really stops physical attackers again because it minimizes half their damage and also deals a little bit of damage to them every turn. Strength Sap is Corsola's #1 way of recovering health, because Corsola restores its health by the same amount as the target's attack stat. So basically saying, the more powerful your opponent's Pokemon is, the more health you'll gain back. And also, you'll also get a decrease their attack. Now, I also have Nightshade here, and that deals a consistent amount of fixed damage to every Pokemon. And so, this Pokemon is really the ultimate physical stopper, and I'm so glad to have her on my team. In the end, I also given her Eviolite because it raises her defense and special defense by another 1.5 times. That's amazing in itself. And you add this item to it, makes it even more powerful. The next Pokemon that I'm featuring is Corviknight, one of the most iconic representatives of Galar region. It's a flying and steel type, and its main role is just like my Galarian Corsola, very defensive, but also very bulky as well, with max health and max defense. Its main weakness is special defense, so you gotta really watch out for fire moves. As you can see here, the ability is mirror armor, so any stat lowering effects Corviknight, that means that Corviknight won't be effective and it will reflect it back to its opponent. Very, very strong ability. And since it's going to be a support and tank Pokemon, I have the ability Defog, which takes out any reflect, light screen, spikes, poison spikes, all those, because it's popular lately for other opponents to set up those types of moves. So you can clear those away. Its main way of earning its health back is Roost, so that's how you recover it. And to increase its defense even more, I give it an Iron Defense, and its main attack will be Brave Bird. So it's the most powerful flying type move, and it does have some recoil damage because it's that powerful. I've given it a Rocky Helmet, so what that does is that if physical attackers attack you, then they will lose health for attacking you. So it's at a cost for them to attack you. So yes, this is very similar to Galarian Corsola. It's another variant of it. And it's also very, very powerful counter against physical attackers, because physical attackers are super popular in the current competitive scene. Next up is Cinderace, the very popular football player Pokemon. And as you can see here, it will be my main attacker on my team. Now, my philosophy is that all my main attackers will have to be defensive as well, because what I've noticed from the current trend is that there's so many speedy attackers, which means if you have higher speed, you can attack first. But if I'm able to survive the attack, meaning I max out one of my defenses, that means I can attack back at full damage, because most of them won't even train their defense. So it gives me a great shot of defeating the Pokemon. And that's what my creative side has came up with. At times you have to think about the current competitive scene and how to counter that. And that's how I've chosen to counter it, by training all my Pokemon like that. Now, its ability is Blaze, so it powers up fire type moves when the Pokemon's at low health, which is very strong. And as you can see here, one of its coolest moves is called Court Change, and that can catch your opponent by surprise, because if your opponent sets up light screen, reflect, or sets up rocks or poison on your side, you can switch the battlefield and they will have it now, or it might be very advantageous for your team as well. So this is a very underrated move. It's such a cool move that I think a lot of people aren't using. Next up is Sucker Punch. Because there's so many fast Pokemon, my Cinderace won't be able to be as fast as them. But if I have Sucker Punch, I can guarantee to hit first, even though they're faster than me. So that's a great move. Next one is Bounce. This really works well against Pokemon that have lower speed than me, because I can dodge one of their attacks, and then if I'm able to successfully land, it can give a chance of paralysis. And now obviously Pyro Ball is definitely needed. It's a signature move, so strong, so accurate, so deadly. And its main weakness is special defense, because I didn't invest any points in it, which is why I gave it Focus Sash, so I'm able to survive a hit while still able to deal a great amount of damage. Duraladon is the next Pokemon featured in my single spotlight, and this has to be one of my most awesome main special attackers. As you can see here, I've trained it specifically to max out special attack, and because it's a steel and dragon type, its only main weaknesses are fighting and ground moves. So I've maxed out its defense, and actually Duraladon has really good defense stats to start off. So by maxing this out, you're guaranteed to at least survive a few hits before becoming knocked out. So it's very useful build like this. The ability is heavy metal, and its ability is actually rarely ever used, so don't really worry about it. I've given the moves Dragon Pulse and Flash Cannon because it's the same type move, and that means it's going to deal a lot more damage. And Thunderbolt to defeat flying type Pokemon as well as water types. And I have Solar Beam here. Why Solar Beam? It's because this is the Pokemon that I would recommend Dynamaxing the most, because when you Dynamax, all these moves do not take a while to charge. Instead, it actually is instantaneous. So Solar Beam turns into Max Overgrowth, and you can instantly use it. And you see all these moves are very, very powerful in itself. And you see, it's also very offensive. And the reason why is because I paired it with an Assault Vest. That increases special defense by another 50%. And because the main weakness for this Pokemon is actually very, very low special defense, by increasing it by another 50%, it covers a little bit of it. So it's a great choice. I'll be talking about Alcremie next. As you can see here, it's going to be another special attack Pokemon. And I've actually trained it in its special defense as well, maxing it out. Since both of its stats are very high in nature, I thought it would be very advantageous. Its ability is Sweet Veil, so it stops itself from falling asleep, which is pretty effective and a counter to Sleep Powder and Hypnosis, which some opponents like to do. And its move is Calm Mind, which pairs exceptionally well, since that's what Alcremie's strengths are. It's special attack and defense. So if you're able to use it at least once a battle, you're gonna be hard to take down through special moves, and you're gonna deal even more damage with your special attacks. I have Dazzling Gleam, Mystical Fire, and Energy Ball to cover a whole variety of Pokemon types. So any of these moves should be super effective on my opponent in all situations. Now the item I've given it is a Life Orb. Now Life Orb, it boosts my attack by another 30%, but I'll be losing some health every turn. So that's what I'm sacrificing for. I'm sacrificing health for more damage. And as you can see here, this Pokemon can actually Gigantamax. And when this Pokemon Gigantamax, I believe its move turns into G-Max Starfall or G-Max Decorate, which is a really powerful fairy type move, but also at the same time it heals this Pokemon, which is very cool. And I just love seeing it turn into a huge 3-layer cake. And lastly, we have Appleton here, a grass dragon Pokemon, or I like to call it an apple pie. And I even threw my Master Ball at it because I just love its Gigantamax form. As you see here, I've maxed out its health and special defense, and so its ability is very interesting. It's called Ripen. So what it does is that it doubles the effect of berries, and you're able to use your berries much earlier than usual. I've specifically given it a citrus berry, so it can restore its health when it's down to about 25%. But at the same time, citrus berry activates even earlier with the ability Ripen and doubles its effect. So I'm able to heal more at an earlier time in battle. And what I have for the moveset is Recycle, which means that I'm able to find a citrus berry again and eat it if I reach to 50% or less health. And my other source of health recovery is from Leech Seed, and as well Dragon Pulse for offense move, and one really unique move is Apple Acid. It it's only specifically given to the Appleton line Pokemon. So it's a grass type move, and it has a chance of lowering my opponent's special defense. And when this Pokemon Gigantamax, which turns into a huge apple, it turns into a G Max Sweetness move, which I believe eliminates all status conditions. So if you're sleeping, or you're poisoned, or even you're burnt, then that cures all of it. So that's what I really love about this Pokemon as well. So there you go. I hope all of you have enjoyed this video and have a better idea of how to make a Pokemon team to battle competitively. And just like you as well, I was very new to this process, and so if any of you want to share ideas or just want to learn something about Pokemon, just put it in the comment section below, and I'll always be interested in learning from you guys as well. And if there's any other questions you have for me about my other content or any other video ideas, please write it down as well. I'm always very open-minded in trying new things. And as always, thanks a lot for watching, and hope to see you very soon.